unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Oh, what a surprise, surprise. Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders could be postponed before it was ever announced to the public. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel when you guys click on the link. You can also get ESPN Plus by itself as a standalone, or you can bundle it with Disney Plus. They got a lot of great shows and like shows from, you know, just classic stuff we watched growing up. X-Men. They got Boy Meets World, you know, the newer stuff like Black Panther movie, Lion King remake, etc. So the Avengers, and then you can bundle that with ESPN Plus and Hulu. All three apps, $12.99. Use my link. Again, it helps the channel. Thank you. Now, what a surprise. Reports are coming out that Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders could reach delays and be delays. They're trying to make it act like the Rona virus is the reason. But, you know, I think it's definitely deeper than that. You can't blame the Rona because, you know, there's a lot of things like the NBA season, MLB, March Madness, you know, public gatherings over 250 people, 1,000. Top ranked card got canceled. So I understand that this is a serious situation and it has actually led to, you know, precautions being taken. So I'm not undermining the reality of this pandemic with the Rona, but you can't really use that for Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders since the fight was never even announced. So I could understand like Top Rank, Shakur Stevenson's card and different cards, and Mick Connellan, their cards got canceled. The fighters had training camps, you know, they were ready to fight the upcoming weeks, and those are canceled. But Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, as I mentioned, has never even been announced. You know, this is just speculation that this is the fight to happen next. So it doesn't really fall into the categories. Listen, this is a terrible thing that's happening with Canelo. He's trapped on an app. I'm going to keep saying it. He's making a lot of money, but everything else with his career is beginning to falter. His star power, his legacy, these types of things are starting to dwindle down and subside a bit, you know. And this was a weird decision for De La Hoya and DAZN to take an established guy in America who had been built up on pay-per-views. You know, as soon as he started to really resonate and people got familiar with him, they put him on Mayweather undercards and things of this sort to build him up. And then he became, you know, he fought Floyd, lost. Then, you know, a student of the game, he just learned and kept improving, things like that after his loss to Mayweather. And, you know, he kept that trend going of being popular. And they took somebody who was established, and they've definitely hurt his brand, and he's hurt his brand. Like the decision to take him over to an uncharted territory with DAZN, trying to launch and stuff. They're paying a lot of money up front. Again, this is great for Canelo, you know, personal gains and his family, kids set for life type of thing. But for boxing fans and the outlook and the impressions that people have on Canelo's current career, I can't say it's good. I think you've seen it with Golden Boy and Ryan Garcia, Canelo and Golden Boy, Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya beefing recently. These aren't good signs. Trouble in paradise, there's turmoil, and, you know, from what we understand, they don't even have a speaking relationship at the moment where they speak for long periods of time. You know, just a normal, like, I've never heard of Gervonta Tank Davis not accepting a call from Al Heyman and speaking through a lawyer, right? We've never heard of that. Or Errol Spence not speaking through Al Heyman and, you know, refuses to deal with him, who's his advisor. But this is what we're hearing, that Canelo is speaking through, a mediator or a legal representative, a lawyer, and they're relaying information. So I think these things is a culmination of different things as to why Canelo's career is being handled. I think the UFC 244 was it trumped Canelo's fight, and they made Canelo look foolish by waiting for that. I've never seen that happen. So weird, bad decisions. It's just been a string of different things. Failed negotiations, the waiting for UFC 244, becoming the first ever franchise champion, so you have no rules to abide by, no mandatories. People just, I guess, get tired of all the stipulations, weight stipulations, failed negotiations, lowballed offer. It's just becoming one telenovela. It's becoming a huge, as the world turns, Young and the Restless type of soap opera. And I think people are kind of checking out. There's a lot of great other stories in boxing, up and coming fighters who can scrap. And I think people are losing some of the interest. So I think Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, it may get delayed. We have to wait and see. But beyond that, it can't be attributed to this pandemic, because at the end of the day, it was never announced. And I think there's different things going on behind the scenes, like DAZN's trying to branch off into the UK, so they got that going on. Canelo tried to talk to Ryota Murata for a fight in Japan, right? And then that didn't work on. So it's like they're going in different directions, and that's what's creating tension. And this is just, to me, it's a bad look, because when you look at A-listers in Hollywood, you're supposed to think of, this is what you would strive for. Like, let's say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's very popular, probably the highest paid person or one of them in Hollywood right now. So you look for the way his trailers are cut, and he'll do a world tour for Hobbs and Shaw, stuff like that. You just look at the red carpet treatment that he'll get to promote his movie, because it's supposed to be a blockbuster and these types of things. Canelo is DAZN's biggest star, yet you have guys with better promotion like Jake Paul and Logan Paul when they've appeared on the network. Jake Paul had his own press conference, even though he wasn't the main event. Logan Paul had a better, with KSI, 40 Days docuseries special. The Canelo Kovalev one was a joke with DJ Khaled in it. We the best. Who? We the best. Like, why is DJ Khaled on this? Just really weird maneuvers and moves from Canelo's side. And again, it's incredible to take a guy who's established on pay-per-view, and you've almost made him anonymous, or I can't say irrelevant, but you're pushing him more towards mediocrity and irrelevance in terms of what he's doing than he's ever been. So he's still known and still popular, more popular than other guys and stuff like that, but it's not what it once was. And I think that's why his numbers don't come out, stuff like that. The other issue I talked about is they're talking about probably trying to make a Canelo versus Golovkin fight. Who wants to see it at this point? First of all, if it happens in any other division other than 160, then that's even worse for Golovkin. By the time the fight happens in September, if it happens, then all goes as planned, Golovkin is literally going to be 38 years old, and he looks like he's seen better days already. He's getting the wear and tear from camps, his hunger, his aggression, whatever it is. He didn't look good in his last fight. Canelo already beat him. So it's like DAZN is holding out. They've waited too long. They've stalled this. Canelo said that Golovkin lost to Deryevchenko. These aren't my words. You can Google it. So the world knows that Triple G really should have lost his last fight. And then if he fights a guy like Camille Says Meta, even if it's his mandatory, it's going to be looked at as another joke. Like, so when you're not fighting Canelo, you're getting whooped by Deryevchenko in a fight you should have lost, or you're fighting subpar competition that no one wants to see you fight, like Steve Rolls and Camille Says Meta. So you could see, especially Triple G more than Canelo, his brand has not ascended. Like, his brand since the days of us linking Canelo. See, first of all, you got to take this all the way back. Canelo Triple G was supposed to happen probably like 2016, and it didn't happen because it wasn't on Canelo's terms, and he didn't want the fight at that time. You know, they even had a meeting with the WBC, and they decided that they each would have a voluntary defense of their choice and then fight each other next. And Triple G fought in April. I went to that fight, covered it as Credential Media, against Dominic Wade. He knocked him out in like 2 rounds. Then in May, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Amir Khan was selected for Canelo, and Canelo knocked him out in the 6th round. So in September of 2016, they were supposed to fight. This was discussed in the previous December. I have a paper trail for all of this. And all of a sudden, you know, Canelo was going through a lawsuit with his former promoter, All Star Boxing, and he said, I don't want to deal with this. Golovkin could just have my belt. I'm not fighting him in September. I'm not moving up. I'm not ready to move up. And then he gave up the belt, vacated it, and everybody like looked at Canelo like, wow, really? After all that, you agreed to fight him? So the fight didn't even happen when it was supposed to. So basically, long story short, Canelo went on to fight Liam Smith. Very predictable outcome. And this fight has been riddled with turmoil, and it never really seems to happen and play out like a traditional fight. Even the first fight, I thought Golovkin won, and they gave it to Canelo, and Adelaide Bird had some horrible scorecard. Then the second fight, I thought Canelo won, but some people even felt it was controversial, right? And then now so much has changed. Canelo's fought at 175, got a knockout against Kovalev there, fought at 168, and then Golovkin hasn't looked so great in his last fight. Even the Steve Rolls fight, he was getting tagged and touched up, you know? So I have no idea who's behind DAZN and why they feel that the world is just clamoring for Canelo Triple G3 still. I really don't see it being as big as they think it's going to be. But, you know, if all goes well, we'll see. And the other thing, the DAZN curse is still in effect. And if Triple G fights Camille Sesmeta, he'll probably get past him pretty easy. But, you know, who knows? But if Canelo is fighting Billy Joe Saunders, this could also hurt the Canelo Triple G fight, because at his best, Billy Joe Saunders, even if he doesn't win the fight, if he's focused and dialed in, he can at least trouble Canelo, and it won't be a scintillating Canelo performance, where Billy Joe Saunders, as long as it lasts, could make Canelo look bad. Like even like the Amir Khan. Amir Khan was winning the first 4 rounds. You see what I'm saying? So if Billy Joe Saunders gives issue to Canelo, that's going to be another thing that hurts a Canelo Triple G, because the best thing you could do is have one, if not hopefully 2 guys coming off of meaningful wins and fighting each other, you know? And we know that's not the case with Triple G, and we know he doesn't want to rematch Derevyanchenko because they're trying to so it's like really you're manipulating boxing, because you know if Triple G does what's right, like what Wilder did with Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury, and said, hey, these were tough fights for me, let's run it back, right? You know if Triple G loses or looks horrible again, then it really hurts the Canelo fight. So in a motion of fear, you'd rather put him in there with somebody with 21 fights and 4 or 5 knockouts that no one's heard of and sell it as a mandatory. You know, it's real pathetic for boxing. You know, great risk come with great reward oftentimes, and people see that. Like, you're not charging fans up and energizing fans to watch Canelo Triple G3 when one guy's coming off a bad performance potentially, and the other guy's basically cherry picking because he wants to stay safe. That, you know, that's just not, to me, the competition of boxing. Triple G should absolutely be looking at no one else other than Derevyanchenko, and then if he gets past him soundly, then maybe a Canelo fight. But most people feel, or a lot of people, including myself, feel that Triple G shouldn't even be a champion right now. So you're not going to sell me as like, and we don't even know if it happens at 160, but let's say it happens at 160, Triple G really shouldn't even be a champion, and he hasn't cleared that up. So it's going to be a title fight, but at the same time, who believes it? Because the world knows, if you watch the fight, Derevyanchenko really busted his ass. you know? So really weird. And then now this thing with the Rona, you know, they're going to try to blame it if they have to postpone it. But really, his fight should have been announced by now. So you can't even blame it on that, because at the end of the day, you haven't even confirmed who he is fighting. And then reports came out that Billy Joe was next, and they said they still working on it. And Canelo made, you know, a diva move and specifically went to his social media and says, be cautionary of sources. The only person who will confirm it when it's done, if it is done, is me. So he lets you know to pump your brakes, and the official announcement comes from me. So they've never announced the fight. So don't blame it on this pandemic and say this is why we're not fighting on Cinco de Mayo. And this is just more of what I said. If Canelo does not fight this will be the third year in a row where he claimed Mexican dates and he didn't fight on them for one reason or another. First year, he was supposed to rematch Golovkin in Cinco de Mayo weekend. Guess what? Failed 2 drug tests on February 17th and February 20th. So the Golovkin fight, he was suspended for 6 months. He didn't have to pay a fine, but he couldn't compete until August. It was a 6-month slap on the wrist fine, or non-fine, but a ban, a temporary ban. So you gave up Cinco de Mayo because you failed with clenbuterol in your system, the clen. Then the next year, you were trying to negotiate with Kovalev. He said you were lowballing. Hey, we could fight Anthony Yarde if you don't pay me properly. Golden Boy tried to call his bluff. Kovalev went on to fight Yarde, and then Canelo didn't have an opponent. He tried to negotiate with Derevyanchenko last minute, couldn't get him as a dance partner, so he gave up the second Mexican date, September. Now, if they push him off of the Rona, then this will be literally, this man says, I want to fight 3 times, or I want to fight 2 times a year on the same dates. This will be the 3rd consecutive fight that he has that gets pushed off of the quote unquote Mexican dates. So just, it's the way that he's being handled. And it's almost like the boy who cried wolf. Okay, this latest one, if he gets pushed off the date, this is the most uncontrollable occasion. That's why better planning for the previous 2 years, then it wouldn't look so bad. You know, it wouldn't be judged as poorly, because this now becomes the 3rd year in a row where Mr. A-side, Mr. Canelo, Mr. Diva, you know, Mr. supposed to be face of boxing, doesn't fight on the dates that he sat out and intended to fight on. It's just a bad look, no matter how you slice it. We working. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.